eRoaming Dynamic Pricing Service. Tariffs and pricing issue is very complicated and hard to model. Tariffs may differ depending which aspect is concerned. Going from top to the bottom, we may have an end user which has an individual contract with EMSP. EMSP can offer him favorable rates under specific conditions. But of course, it depends on the charging infrastructure and fees that EMSP would like to charge. In order to offer charging infrastructure to end customers, EMSP must have a contract with CPO, which can specify different rates than those offered to the end users. Of course, CPO may specify different rates per EVSE, per location, per daytime, and of course different rates per connector types. This is just a big picture overview and a small presentation of dependencies. In practice, each partner may have its own individual business model and settlement model. Comparing Hubject model to the model that was presented before, Hubject aims to create a common tariff interface for CPO and EMSP by having a specific pricing product within a service offer that EMP can subscribe to. OICP was not designed to cover end-user tariffs. Their pricing product interface should be that flexible to cover different pricing depending on charging infrastructure. For example, different rates for Type 2 connector. This solution comes with trade-offs. If you would like to integrate with Hubject platform, it would be harder for you to create your own business model, especially as a CPO. Besides standard pricing and product pricing, which were briefly explained before, Hubject created flexible pricing, which allows CPO to offer differentiated pricings in many dimensions. It can depend on charging facility, location, daytime, and combination of all above. All of those conditions are in the form of pricing product, which can be assigned to EVSEs. Flexible pricing offers an API, which is clear and understandable between both of the parties. On top of that, Hubject created also dynamic pricing, which enables for almost real-time updates between CPO and EMP. Unfortunately, because of its nature, dynamic pricing cannot be offered to everyone. It must be a bilateral offer. CPO and EMP must agree on business and legal specifics, and their system must be prepared on such frequent tariff updates for just one party. eRoamingPushPricingProductData is an API operation that allows CPO to upload pricing product informations. In order to do that, CPO must create flexible or dynamic pricing in authorization service offer. It can be offered to all or per specific EMP. Of course, Hubject will check if there is a valid flexible or dynamic pricing before accepting the request. Hubject will also keep a history of all change data records, similar as in other services. eRoamingPushPricingProductData request contains a lot of information about pricing. Pricing default price is quite obvious. It's a default price for charging session. Additional references can be used for specifying additional pricing components, like start fee, parking fee, fixed fee, or minimum maximum fee. Is valid 24 hours is self-explanatory, but you need to remember that it is assigned to pricing product, not EVSE. Maximum product charging power is expressed in kilowatt-hours. Price per reference unit is a price per reference unit, in our example per hours, in product price currency, in our example in euros. Product availability times specifies when exactly given pricing product can be applied. For example, it can tell specific begin and end hour of weekday. Second operation to perform in eRoamingDynamicPricing service is eRoamingPushEVSEPricing. It is used for assigning a specific pricing products to eVSE IDs. Hubject will verify if service offer was created before and if pricing product can be assigned to eVSE. Hubject will also keep a history of all changed data records. The request for eRoamingPushEVSEPricing is pretty straightforward. You need to provide a list of eVSE IDs and then provide a list of products that should be assigned to given eVSE. eRoaming Charging Notifications Service. Charging Notifications Service is optional, but it's very important from EMP perspective. It covers charging session functionality, similar as session module in OCPI protocol. In general, Hubject treats any kind of event that can happen during charging as a notification. Each notification may reflect various actions. For example, charging session started, update meter value, charging session ended, and different kind of errors that can happen during charging. Hubject will forward every notification received from CPO directly to the interested EMP. That allows EMP to present more details regarding charging session to his customers. Therefore, it's very important for him to receive such kind of information. Successful authorization and plugged cable not necessarily means that charging process have started and energy is flowing. OICP protocol, which covers communication between charge point and charge point operator, find a lot of scenarios for charging session start, which must be handled by CPO. If everything goes right, CPO will receive a specific message that says a charging session have started. In this case, CPO may inform EMP about that by sending eRoaming charging notification start. When a charging session has started, EMP and its customer would like to receive more details about ongoing charging session. They would like to know what is the energy consumption, duration, charging characteristic for some visualization, and maybe even some predictions. The typical scenario is that CPO will receive meter values from charge point every 15 minutes via OICP protocol. Therefore, CPO may notify EMP about it and send some useful charging session details with eRoaming charging notification progress. Because those notifications are not crucial and not so frequent, Hubject recommends at least 5-minute frequency between two progress notifications. CPO may also notify EMP that the charging process has stopped. It can mean that energy is not flowing, and customer may be informed that probably his electric vehicle has been fully charged. A notification itself does not mean that charging session has been finished. In order to end charging session and unlock connector, you may use authorized stop request, normal or remote, or CPO may finish charging session on its own and push CDR right after it happens. Of course, during charging session, there can be a lot of unexpected events. For example, force stop triggered by charge point, charging fluctuations, or even charge point damage. From EMP perspective, it's very important to know what is going on, and to inform its customer that his charging session cannot be finished successfully, or that it was finished before his electric vehicle has been fully charged. In this case, CPO can send eRoaming charging notification error with some details regarding the problem. Data model of eRoaming charging notification may differ a little bit depending on the type of notification, but for most of the parts, it looks almost the same. Charging duration and consumed energy progress is calculated for the time between charging start and event occurred. Charging duration is expressed in milliseconds. Consumed energy progress is expressed in kilowatt hours. Meter value in between is an object representing a list of meter values, which can be used for specifying charging characteristic. Of course, this data will not be present in eRoaming charging notification start. For error notifications, we may also see error type and error additional info, which can be used for specifying more details about charging problem that has occurred. When it comes to the rest of the fields, we have already seen them before in other data models, so there is no need for an explanation. To sum up, we have covered all OICP services from CPO perspective, have seen how the flow, business logic, and data model looks like. Although some services are mandatory in order to integrate with Hubject platform. Here you have a list of operations that were marked as mandatory in OICP documentation for CPO. Those operations are eRoaming authorize start, eRoaming authorize remote start, eRoaming authorize remote stop, eRoaming charge detail record, eRoaming push EVSE data, eRoaming push EVSE status. Unfortunately, OICP documentation is not perfect, and definitely is not clear in many places. In case you encounter some problem, my general advice is to contact with Hubject support team directly. In the past, we had a situation where we thought some implementation of operation was mandatory, but it turned out that in our case, maybe it's not needed at the moment. After contacting with Hubject, they said we can postpone it for now, and we have definitely saved some time.